been following me for the past 10 minutes or so. Oh, it's a shame. I think she's got a broken wing. If I call her, she comes. I'm just going to let nature take its course there. I'm not going to get involved. Okay, we have another bag comparison here to do, and it's two of the favourites, which is the PLCE British Infantry Bergen and the Alice pack. Two are very available from surplus, no problems getting hold of them. The Alice used to be, I don't know if it still is, every bushcrafter's favourite. And from a perspective of a prepper, the British PLCE used to fit the bill. I know there's a big fan club of these, especially on YouTube and online. I'm not one of them because I can reduce all this kit to 30 litres and drop it by about 7.5 kilos, which has been proved on another episode. But let's have a look between the US and the UK. And it just so happens that I have found the Alice pack large just hanging up there on that fence. And on the left up here is the large Alice from the US. This is the large Alice pack from the US. Internal capacity of 60 litres. It looks bigger. It looks a lot bigger. I think I read somewhere 64 litres. But I'm just going to go with what the specs tell me. This, Jesus, it's a stupidly weighty and unnecessarily so as well. It's everyone's preference for one reason or another is the PLCE Infantry Bergen. It has an inner capacity in the main chamber of 70 litres, and everywhere you'll go on the internet will tell you it's a 100 litre Bergen. It's only 100 litres when you incorporate the 20 litre snow hood that sits on top of the main chamber, which will bring that from 70 to 90. There's a hood on the pocket on top here, a pouch, and there's a canteen pocket on the front. Split between this top pocket and the one on the front is 10 litres, so we've got 70, 20 and 10. And the trade-off for me for 70 litres for 3.5 kilos is terrible, absolutely terrible. There's better packs, but like I said, there's a fan club of them, and I know I'll get slated in the comments, but so be it. It's factual. An inner chamber of 70 litres for 3.5 kilos is not a good weight to rate ratio, unless you're in the forces and you've got to carry one regardless and you can't moan. You just put it on your back, carry it, stop moaning. But I have a choice, so if I have a choice, I'm going to choose something else. This is quite light, but it's a very wide pack, the Alice. And if I put it on my arm here, you'll actually see just how wide it is. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It is so wide, it actually pulls back once that is full, as where the PLCE is a little slimmer, but it's also wide. Neither of them, I think, have a good ergonomic use of carry space, but they're not designed for comfort. It's designed for a soldier to put on the back and you're not allowed to moan. It's as simple as that. Now, there is a separate full review on the Alice pack if you want to see that, and there's a whole tailoring series where I have tailored it from top to bottom. So why would its width be an issue? let me explain, and I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but for those who don't, keeping your load close up to your chest like this, you could stand there for about 5-10 minutes without it aching. Trying to hold it at arm's length is really bad on your arms, shoulders, your back. All your muscles are working unnecessarily. Doing that is good punishment. So you've got to bring the weight close up to you. When you fully load the Alice pack and it is at its maximum width, it's fully loaded deep. It's the same thing. It's like trying to carry a heavy pack with your arms extended like that when it should be close up to you. So having this extra bulk that sticks out nearly twice my body width, it's pulling back. So you really got to dress your pack properly. And I have found that both these travel a lot better with the sleep system carried externally on top here behind the head. There is no way you're going to do that with the Bergen unless you modify it first. And I've modified mine with a floating lid, and the whole sleep system, which is nothing more than a bivy bag and a sleeping bag on top here, is strapped down by a floating lid modification, so it actually sits on top of the pack. And the same can be done on the Alice pack with these straps here on top of the lid. Put your sleep system up on top of the lid here and carry it behind your head. You'll notice a remarkable difference in doing that than trying to put your sleep system on the inside of your pack. Right, if I was going to choose one, where would I be with it all? That's a tricky one, because both are pretty good packs. Both have different dynamics, however. This one needed a lot of modification. It really needed the extra basher pouch and a couple of canteen pouches down the bottom there. Let's just tip this bad boy over and see the back. I have modifications on the back also with a floating lid option. The Alice pack comes already with all the pockets you need. Large utility, 2 small ones, 3 on the upper front here, which are similar size to ammo pouches. So carrying your sleep system up high behind your head, regardless of which one of these you choose, is going to be the key to getting it carrying a little better for you. Once I do put my sleep system on top of this Alice pack, on top of the lid here and under these straps, I find it quite hard to even have enough kit to get into this inner chamber of 64 litres. That is a lot of space once you haven't got a sleeping bag in it. Get your sleeping bag out of here. On a different video where we concentrated just on the Alice pack, I was putting brick kit in an Alice pack. Nothing is sized the same. Even the 58 water bottle, a different shape, different size water bottles. If you were thinking you're going to put a 58 bottle in the back of these side utilities on the large Alice, I think you'd be disappointed. But if you're familiar to sizing of utility pouches, these are smaller than the UK utilities. If you start off with a large Alice pack, I personally would finish with a large Alice pack, which means looking into what goes with this and buying it for it. Like I said, get the US pattern canteens. They're going to fit it because they're designed for it, and they can be strapped to the outside of your pack low down. Higher up here there is space for an LRRP 2-quart water carry, and I could have a 2-quart on that side and 1 on that side. I don't like carrying water on the pack or in the pack I don't do it. I usually have shoulder harness for water or the chest rig, or put it on a hip belt. I don't generally attach water to a pack at a kilo a litre. Kilo not far off a quart, about 900 grams give or take. So let's round it up to a litre. If I'm putting 2 quarts there, say 2 litres, and 2 litres there, that's 4 quarts. It's under 4 kilos. 4 kilos just for water. Take it out your pack, it's going to drag on your shoulders. Look at having a chest rig, look at having hip bottles, anything. I don't put water bladders on here, and I know a lot of people do, but if there's a way of avoiding discomfort and weight, if there's a way of avoiding it, I will. So the video will feature transferring kit into this vast cavernous space of the Alice pack, and it's only cavernous if you keep the sleep system out of the pack. So let's alleviate this pocket of a very large gas canister. And I could do with topping that up, and I do top them up, I don't throw them away. I bought an orange box stove, got the 58 bottle along with the 58 mug, which is stainless steel, not the aluminium version. I have the aluminium version, and although this is a bit weighty, I prefer it. Easily accommodate a long weekend. You can do a lot with the cup. You can use it as a cooking cup, where you put the raw ingredients into there. You can put water in if you want a boil in the bag. I've got an ammo can flask in an ammo pouch. That's why they're called ammo can flasks. In here I have some loose coffee and some sugar, and I don't always carry the 58 cup. Sometimes I prefer just the flask, and then that way I can sip on the flask throughout the night rather than get up every half hour to make a fresh brew. Just put it in there and sip on it throughout the night. Again, your choice. And this is my adapter that allows me to use a cross between butane and propane. With this being a propane butane, I don't need the adapter. I can just screw on the cam. So don't worry if you haven't got propane, butane, and you've only got butane. There's an adapter for it. And we've looked at that before, that adapter. That is my sleeping bag inside the bivvy bag. I know a lot of people keep the bivvy bag inside the pack and then put the sleeping bag in a compression sack, provided it doesn't extend the width of your pack. That for me is good enough. And there's only a couple of things in here which I'll explain in a minute. I've got to be quick because the water's coming to a boil rapidly. I have an 80s style pack liner, again 90 pat. Softy suit, that's an entire winter change of clothing, and that's me done for the main chamber. And I know what you're thinking, you've got to need more than that. Well, I haven't. I have shelter, insulation and a cook set. If you think that, you're going to be warm, well fed, dry and sheltered. I mean, what more do you need? I have other external pockets to carry things like a first aid and my admin kit. On the front, that's my waterproofs in another 90 pack side rocket pocket liner, and that can be turned off. I want to make a cowboy coffee. Bit of a messy setup. I'll tidy up in a minute. Is that too much? I do like a strong coffee. Anyway, there's enough there for another brew. Let's put a bag clip on that. There's enough for another brew. Now I'm going to turn the stove back on and boil this coffee on a low heat. So let's turn that down and bubble that to perfection. So waterproofs, softies, winter clothing into this Alice Pack Large. Heaviest first will be my clothing, the softies, my rain covers, and boy, there is additional room to spare. So the sleeping bag and bivvy is being carried behind my head externally. The temptation would be just to pull on this strap here to get the tension. What I want to do is feed it rather than pull on this strap, which means pulling down on this and only using this to nip up that little bit of slack. Okay, so don't pull on your strap, pull on this bit here. Get the pressure on it and just nip it up. That's all that strap's for, is to nip it up. But these pockets here, how these will come into play a little later, I don't know. Let's undo it, because I need to also have a basher in here. That's where I put mine, and like I said, the external elements here of the utilities on the side doesn't fit my cook set, so that might have to go on the inside, but there is plenty of room if you do want to put a cook set on the inside, and I might have to do that with this. Push down on the clothing allocation there, which is my insulation, and have all this extra capability here to carry food, a stove set, the fuel for it, whatever you want. But really, I would adapt the US pattern to be a US pattern. Nalgene's carry particularly well in these side utilities of the US large Alice. I've got no problem with a stove. There's got to be 10,001 configurations of stove sets online you can buy, and then some. But that's empty, other than the basher, which goes in here. But back to the brew. My coffee's been bubbling away nicely for about 10 minutes, and add a little water to settle the grounds. If I was to try and get that bottle into a utility on the US pattern, I mean, it's doable. But if you think you're going to get the canteen cup and the beaker in with you with that, think again. Last of all, in the top pocket, I've got my basher here, which I'm going to put into the large centre utility of the Alice Pack. It fits, so I'm putting it there. You can put whatever kit in whatever pocket you want. It's going to be trial and error depending on what kit you have. You're not going to have the same kit as me. I'm not going to have the same kit as you. So let's all not try and lump ourselves in with this one size fits all world attitude I see a lot on YouTube. The only thing left over is my air pad. So now I've opened the lid, I can get some bits and pieces packed away that I'm not using. I never bury a cook set in the pack because invariably I'll want to stop off halfway from a halfway brew. That's why I like carrying catering on the outside. So I've done a few of these pack comparisons and I always have a favourite, and the thing is, I don't expect my favourite to be your favourite, and I think that is a good way to be, because I hear a lot in the comments, you've got the wrong sleeping bag. How do you mean I've got the wrong one? Because it's not the same as yours. I don't think that's wrong, that's personal choice. That is exactly the same as saying that the colour on my front door is wrong because it's not the same as yours. Of course it's not going to be the same. I don't drive the same car, live in the same house. Why would I have the same pack, the same kit, and enjoy a different kind of way of going about things? But I know what you're asking. Which is it going to be? Well, I'm going to shock YouTube here to its core and tell you. Neither of them. I did another video where I put all the components you've just seen there into a 30-litre day pack with my sleep system strapped on the top. 30 litres as opposed to the 64 litres of the US Alice and the 70 litres of the Bergen. And I know technically it's called 100-litre Bergen, but not all that 100 is the inside space. So they're pretty well matched. In fact, I can get more inside the US pattern 64 than I can in my 70 inner chamber of the PLCE. There it is, all packed up in the same manner. But brick kit doesn't transfer too well to the US. That's why if you are seriously in the market to get US pattern kit, follow it through with their version of the water bottles, their version of canteen cups, the US versions that belong to said pack. If you're going in the market 100-litre Bergen, I would adapt your kit for that with 58 bottles, the 58 mess tins, all the kit that belongs to this era of pack, and then you've built it up as, you know, one unit. And I'm not saying you can't put other cups in other packs, of course you can, but if it's designed to do so, you're going to get a lot better fit. Although I have the 58 water bottle in the Alice pack external utility, it's not going to fit my beaker and my cooking cup. Now I do have a preference to carry this sort of kit, and it is neither of these. But anyone in the market who is interested, should I get the Alice, should I get this, which is the PLCE, both have pros and cons. I don't use either. I'd prefer the Berghaus. So a totally different pack altogether would be my preference if I had a choice lined up. US Alice large, S90 PLCE, or the Berghaus Crusader, the vintage version. I'd point my finger at the Berghaus each and every time. Why? Because it's said literage. It is the full 90 litres you get. They're not including bits and pieces and dividing it all up. It carries so much more comfortably than either of these. Once you load up with the same components, it feels good on your shoulders, your back, and on your hips, where you carry all the weight on your hips and you've got your shoulders to balance it all out. Don't be trying to carry the weight on your shoulders. There's plenty of idiots who can do that for you. Be a little shrewder. Luckily, both these packs have kidney pads and not hip belts, so don't wear them like a hip belt. It sits above your hip and under your rib cage there, and you're going to get a far superior comfort from either of these packs. My Berghaus is actually a cross between a kidney pad and a hip belt, so I can choose depending on the load that I have in it. Price point, I think at the time I paid 110 many years ago for my Alice pack. It was a US buy, so there'd have been a bit of shipping on it as well. Brick kit, about 30 quid maybe for a Bergen, and they come in different grades. Super grade, grade 1, grade 2. Although other people would class that as grade 1, I've noticed a rip in it. I would knock that grade down to a grade 2, although it is immaculate in all other areas. That wouldn't be grade 1 for me, just because of a tiny little tear. I'm very fussy about what I buy and what I sell. I couldn't sell that as a grade 1 because of a tiny little tear which has been repaired. That would be grade 2 to me. When I bought the Alice pack, I had a guy in America do all the modifications for me. New webbing. I was super happy with the job. I think he charged 50 bucks plus 50 bucks I paid for it, another 50 bucks in customs. PLCE infantry Bergen. You can get them on car boots, 20 quid maybe, surplus shop 30 quid. Remember, mine is fully modified with extra pockets, zips, runners, sliders, load lifters. So by the time I've modified it, there's very little profit in it for me selling them on. That's why I'm keeping this. But I am glad I had chance to purchase this. Although the British price on these now are about 50, 60 quid. But import, always import on these bad boys. And it's the import that's the killer for a Brit, getting US pattern kit. Vice versa, I always get people from the States saying, I really want the PLCE, but I've got to pay customs. Well, it's the same the other way round. I have to pay customs. There's no way around it. I'm going to rephrase that as no legal way around it, and I'm not going to divulge any more than that. But the weight, 3.5 for the PLCE, and I've totally forgot the weight of the large Alice. Instead, it'll come up here as a caption between the both PLCE and the large Alice. They're the weights empty. So now you should have a really good classification of what fits, what doesn't, what might be right for you isn't going to be right for someone else, and what's right for somebody else certainly isn't right for me. So that's been a quick stop off and a brew, quick chat about the packs. If I had to choose one from the other, could I? No. They're both unnecessarily heavy, they're both unnecessarily uncomfortable. I'm not making either of them sound good here, am I? Like I said, I just use other packs that suit me. And why? Because I have the choice to. If I was infantry, you'd have to put the damn thing on your back and stop moaning. For someone who's been retired for a while now, I can choose what the hell pack I want. So put it on your back and stop moaning about it attitude. No, I won't. I'll choose another pack that suits me better. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you a preference between either of these. Like I said, they both have a lot of drawbacks. I personally would put all the content from my PLCE and get them all inside a 30-litre Northern Ireland patrol sack with the sleep system above my head here on a bungee, 30 litres, and I've knocked off 7.2 kilos. Why the hell wouldn't I? So there are your differences between these anyway. So clean up my pots and hit the road. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bexbugoutsurvivor.